Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we're lucky to have 10-2 welterweight. He's from Sweden, and he's currently on a 3-fight win streak, looking to make it for Oliver Enkamp. How's it going today?
It's going very well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. How's training been leading up to this fight here?
It's been going well. I've had a pretty long preparation because, my last fight was going to be in June, and I signed a fight contract pretty early this year, like February or so. So I was in a fight camp for a long time, and the fight got postponed because of visa issues.
Yeah.
Since COVID happened, they shut down the European Bellator scene, so I needed a visa to come to the States and fight over here. And no U.S. embassy wanted to take interviews at that time, so I had to find some embassy around Europe, and I ended up going to Madrid in Spain, where I got to have an appointment and get the visa. And then just 2 weeks before my fight, the opponent pulled out, and then it just got postponed even further, and I was going to fight in October, and now we're here, it's November, and I just got 3.5 weeks left, so it's finally happening.
Yeah, and you said you're currently in Vegas, correct?
Yeah, Las Vegas.
Yeah, so now you're here in the States, and it's 3 weeks away, so this fight's going to happen, and we'll, can't wait for it. So just speak to growing up in Sweden. What kind of stuff did you get into before mixed martial arts?
So I've always been into martial arts because my parents run a martial arts center, and they are into karate and more the traditional side. And my older brother, who's 2 years older than me, he started doing karate as soon as he could walk. So I grew up in this surrounding, and for me, every day was going to my parents' work, was going to the dojo. So
yeah.
It was kind of our lifestyle. And when I started competing around like 10 years old or so, I finally found like a goal for my training, because before that it was just for fun, like going with your friends. And then our martial arts center grew, and we added kickboxing and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I started trying different things, and eventually MMA became very popular, and I saw successful karate fighters like Lyoto Machida and George St. Pierre compete in MMA, and I felt that I wanted to try it out as well. So I started traveling as soon as I quit high school. I started traveling the world to get experience from different parts of the world, going to the United States and also to Asia and Thailand and stuff, and collecting knowledge, coming back home, training on everything, and started competing as soon as I could. And then, just been going on now for, 12 years?
Yeah, and off you go. So just, you mentioned something, lifestyle. A lot of mixed martial artists, like, it is a lifestyle, not a job, right? So you have to be, absolutely 100% committed to it. Otherwise, things aren't probably going to work out for you, especially in the big leagues like yourself. And speaking about the big leagues, so you had a couple fights in the UFC. Speak to those two fights and that experience, and then how this has kind of sprung you forward for this great Bellator run here.
Yeah. So when I started competing, it was in small local shows around Sweden, and I gained a professional record of 7-0, but it was only on these small kind of shows. Yeah. And then the UFC came around to Stockholm, where I live, and a Norwegian fighter pulled out of the card on a 2 weeks notice. So they needed a local fighter to step in and take his place, and I got that spot. So it was a very big jumping competition for me. And I didn't know what the level was. I just knew what I was capable of doing. So in hindsight, it was probably too early for me to enter that big of a stage. But I didn't know at that point, and I thought this might be once in a lifetime opportunity. So I took the chance. And and I fought Nordin Taleb in my UFC debut, which was a very experienced veteran, like 10 years more experience than I had, and he outweighed me by several kilos because I was like a tweener between lightweight and heavyweight at that point. And I can recall the commentators even said it looks like a man fighting a boy. It was pretty funny. So anyway, that fight really taught me a lot of lessons, what's needed at this level, and also gave me a lot of motivation to keep going and pursue this. Because now I was in the UFC suddenly, and the UFC Performance Institute in Vegas opened up that year. So just a month or so after I got my contract. So I went there, and there was like no one there. A few fighters walking around. And that was my first like real training camp here in Vegas. So I started traveling here more frequently, and that's also how I ended up in contact with Syndicate MMA, where I'm training right now for my training camp.
Awesome.
And then I got another shot in the UFC the next year against Danny Hot Chocolate was his last name. Yeah, boxer, great fighter, and
Danny Roberts, right?
Yes, Danny Roberts. That was the O2 Arena in London. And I felt I started out pretty well, and then I threw like a side kick to the knee. I stepped into a punch, and my knees buckled, and I rolled into guard, and suddenly the referee was on top of me and waved the fight off. So I was conscious before I hit the ground, and I thought it was a premature stoppage, but it is what it is. And after that, the UFC decided to cut a lot of fighters because there were too many on the roster, and last in, first out. So they ended my contract, and I got picked up by Bellator instead, where I now have 3 first-round finishes.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward.
Absolutely, and it's not where you start; it's where you finish, or it's where you're going at least. And after those 2 losses, you picked up right where you started in the smaller scenes, like you were talking about. 3 fantastic finishes, and then now you got a battle on December 3rd against Kyle Crutchmer. What do you think about him, and how do you stack up against him?
It's very interesting to meet a wrestler of his caliber because my previous opponents have been more strikers or like jiu-jitsu guys. I haven't ever faced a wrestler at his level, so it's gonna be interesting. Game plan wise, it's easier because he's a specialist, obviously, and I got some height and reach on my side as well. But I know the wrestlers have like very good work ethic and keeps a high pace from start to finish. So I think this will be a very exciting fight.
Yeah.
If we will see the later rounds, it's definitely gonna be a fight of the night of some sort.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this, and been a long time coming now. So finally, time to step in there again.
Absolutely. And actually our buddy from the podcast here, our buddy from the area where we grew up in, fights on the same card. So can't wait to tune in for your fight and his and a few other guys as well. So so just to finish up here, we have a between rounds segment, 1 minute. I'll ask you a question. You rapid fire your best answers, okay?
Okay.
If you had to pick another sport other than MMA, what would you choose as your favorite?
Breakdance.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I've had that answer once before. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was my big passion when I was a teenager.
Yeah, that's awesome. Favorite place to travel to overseas in Europe?
In Europe, I would say somewhere around the Mediterranean, like the Canary Islands or like Greece, Italy. Somewhere around there, equator.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. How about your favorite kind of music? I know you said you break dance. Is there a certain kind of music you?
So it depends on my mood. if I'm just chilling, I listen mostly to the hip hop, like more mellow kind of hip hop. If I'm training, I like something more upbeat with a heavy bass, like electronic music.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about a couple of your favorite mixed martial artists of all time?
I think the greatest of all time is John Jones, and I don't even think there's a discussion about that. When you look at the level of competition he fought and the way he defeated everyone, he's really a mixed martial artist, meaning he can do everything at a high level. I think Demetrius Johnson is also up there. Favorites, I always root for the underdogs, and one of my favorite, like that I felt was a big underdog in many fights, is Kazushi Sakuraba.
Oh, Sakuraba, yeah.
If you watch the old, like, the old Pride fights, I think he was pretty awesome. And my favorite fighter of all time is Muhammad Ali. He was just way ahead of it, the game, in the way he held himself, the entertainment value, like the trash talking and the groundbreaking style of boxing. So he's my favorite athlete in all categories.
That's a pretty damn good list, and I can't argue with John Jones as well. It's people don't really, express what he does, like you said, as a mixed martial artist. It's more off the or outside of the cage stuff, right? So
right.
It's unfortunate, but hopefully he gets himself clean and gets back. Do you have any sponsors or shout outs at the end here?
I just give a shout out to my two teams. So back in Sweden, Pancras Gym, and my coach Omar, who's been with me for more than 10 years now, and he's really changed my game over the years. And he's probably my biggest influence when it comes to fighting. Even though I've traveled so much, every time I get back home, he already knew everything I was learning. So big shout out to him and my training partners at Pancras Gym, and also here at Syndicate. I feel so welcomed here, and it's become like a second home to me. Everyone's so welcoming and nice, and especially here I'm staying at a friend of mine, Jake Sage, his house, and they're all super cool guys. So that's the only messages I have at this moment. And of course, to the supporters and fans, thank you for following, and I look forward to share this achievement with you guys.
Absolutely, and we can't wait to watch it. Like we said, looking for a fourth amazing finish in a row, and if not a finish, then another fourth win would be awesome. Move yourself up the ranks, and we're excited for that fight for you. So Oliver Enkamp, good luck on December 3rd, Bellator. This is Hooks and MMA. Thanks so much, bro.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we're lucky to have on a gentleman who's on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. He is from Peru, and he's got a big fight coming up here on December the 4th. Claudio Puelles, how's it going today?
Hey, man, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Happy to be here, and yeah, everything going well in preparation for my next bout.
Yeah, for sure. And, just speak a little bit about growing up in Peru and, when you decided to get into mixed martial arts.
Well, I was basically born and raised in Peru, in Lima, to be specific, in the capital. I've been living there all my life until this year, when I decided to move to Florida. But it was pretty good, like starting to train in Peru. I had after a couple of months, I moved to the United States. To my dad used to live here, and I came to school for a year, and then I started to get more serious about MMA. And that's when I went back to Peru. I was 14 years old, and I started fighting. Well, at 15, I started looking for amateur fights. It was easier over there than back in the States. That's why I never got back. I didn't want to come back because I wouldn't be able to fight until I was 18. So I decided to stay over there. I was like, oh, okay, in Peru, nobody's gonna say I can't fight. In Florida, I'm gonna have to wait until 18. And I was like, I'm just gonna stay in Peru. And well, it turned out good for me because at 20 years old, I was already in the UFC. So it turned out good.
Yeah, there's very few women or men in the UFC that get a shot at the UFC at that age. Couple ones from the Contender Series, 21, but very rare. So obviously the skill set and the talent is there. And speaking of that skill set and talent, which gym are you currently at training, sharpening those tools, and who do you have in your corner for the upcoming fight?
I'm at Sanford MMA here in South Florida. I moved to this camp in February.
Yeah.
That's when I made the move over here. I think it was the best thing I could do with my career. I wish I would have done it a couple of years ago, but well, timing is never perfect, you just gotta like make the right moves. Like whenever you do it, it's gonna be the right time. I'm gonna have head coach Henry Hooft in my corner. Greg Jones, our wrestling coach. I'm gonna have my physiotherapist Enrique Hernandez in my corner as well. And that's gonna be my corner. I've been having a very good training camp. I had a great training camp for my last fight, which was the first one in with Sanford MMA in the UFC. But I feel very confident because like I came from training in small gyms in Peru, basically me being like one of the few pro fighters in the gym, to training in a room full of like 40-50 pro fighters with like some like top level guys, some legends of the sport. And that was like at the beginning I was like, damn, like this is a lot, like a lot to process, but then I started feeling like I was fitting in, like this was the place where I was supposed to be. And now just like feels like home. Feels awesome to be there every day, training, getting better, learning from every coach, every training partner, basically everyone. Just today I had like great rounds of sparring, and I was like locked in the cage with like full of like top guys, and I was like, yeah, this is where I belong. I need to be here every day. I need to like spar with these guys all the time. This is the only way to get to the top.
Yeah, it's fantastic to hear. And Henry Hooft, one of the legends in the game. So heard nothing, but good things in terms of IQ and just, picking apart different parts of game plans and all that kind of stuff. So, that's great to hear he's in your corner, and great that you made the move and you got all these killers in one room that can only improve your skill set, and you're improving theirs as well. So I really believe in that team atmosphere, and it seems like you're part of that now, which is great. So in terms of your last 3 fights here, you've really put on incredible performances, and you're on this 3-fight win streak. What do you think about your upcoming opponent, and how do you think you stack up against him?
I think he's a tough guy. I think I probably more skilled and more talented. Like he's an older guy, but he's been around. I respect his what he brings to the octagon. I know what he brings. I know what I bring. I know a lot. I have a lot more to climb. So the wolf that's like climbing the hill. It's more hungry than the one that's already there for a while. So yeah, I think I have like everything in me to like beat him. Also, another thing is I feel as an athlete now compared as before. Like I was just like taking fights like every 18 months, and I was like going through a lot of injuries. I never got to like be consistent, and now I've like trained this full year. Like I never stopped after the other fight. So it's been like training here in South Florida. I feel like an athlete. I feel like I've progressed a lot in that as well. Not only like my fighting skills. So I may be in like way better shape than ever, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great to hear. And just, you talked about UFC at 20, and you're 25 now. You're at, Sanford MMA. You said Sanford, right? Sanford MMA. So. And just, it sounds like you're in a great mindset, and like your IQ is growing, and you're confident. So we're looking forward to this upcoming fight, December 4th, against Grutzmacher, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
so
yep. Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. I know. Yeah. He brings it. So that's why I've been like, I've been training a lot. Like like if I have to fight for 3 hard rounds, because like he's like right on my face, I'm gonna do it. But I'm gonna be looking to take him out like round 1.
Yeah, and very excited for that upcoming matchup. So we'll make sure to tune in and just we kind of finished everything off with between round segment. I'm going to ask you a question. You give me your best answer for a minute, okay?
Okay.
What's your favorite kind of cheat meal after a fight?
Burgers.
Favorite sport other than MMA?
Skating.
Skating?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually didn't expect you to say that. That's,
I even have videos of skating when I was a kid. That was like before fighting. I was a skater. I'm still good now. I skate when I'm not in camp.
That's fantastic. Favorite place you've traveled to other than the States, if you can't pick America?
Favorite place, man. I haven't really like traveled that much outside like the whole continent of like America, like continent like North America and like South America. I've been in many countries inside like all that continent, but I haven't been to like the Europe side and all those places where I want to know. So from what I know, I've seen some beautiful places inside Peru. Like probably like Machu Picchu in Cusco will be like the greatest like thing I've seen in my life.
Yeah, and Peru is definitely a spot I want to get to at some point in my life.
Definitely.
Yeah, what's your favorite kind of music?
Sorry, my favorite kind of music. So I listen to a lot of like different genres. I'm not like a crazy fan of like one specific style. I do go through a lot. I have like maybe like 5 favorite styles. So like between like rock, rap, reggaeton, and metal. Yeah, I love those 4. Like that's where like I on my car on my way to training. That's where I always play.
Whatever you're in the mood for, or whatever's just good song.
Yeah, like
doesn't matter what it's from.
If I'm going to sparring, for example, I put like something a little like more like upbeat, like so I get like a little more pumped. If I'm like after training, I like may put like some reggae, something like more chill. Depends on my mood and the situation.
Yeah, I like that answer. And do you have a couple of favorite mixed martial artists of all time?
Yeah, it has to be John Jones and GSP. Yeah, I was like starting the sport, like watching them dominate like everything, like defend their belts. So yeah, it was pretty big, like watching them. Also like Vanderlei Silva and Anderson Silva, like my honorable mentions because I was like pretty big on them as well.
Me as well. The first 2 guys you mentioned are my 2 favorites as well, along with Cowboy Cerrone. You have any sponsors or shout outs you wanted to give before we finish up?
I don't have any big sponsors now, man. Like I need some. I've worked with like some big companies in Peru before, but during the pandemic, like everything shut down, like economic wise in over there. So they had to cut some sponsors. And well, now I'm about to get on a 4 or 5 win streak. So anybody that wants to like hop on my car.
If you're listening to this right now, we got to get this guy some sponsors, please and thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, and really looking forward to the 4th. Some special things are on the horizon for you, and we wish you all the best for that. So Claudio Puelles. Puelles. This is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me here. Love to talk, bro.
No problem. Anytime. Bye.